Yes, Clint Eastwood directed, Morgan Freeman, Matt Damon starring. That's a good director. That's a good cast. Let's talk about this movie. This movie's about Nelson Mandela being like, man, these people don't like me, so I'm going to get the rugby team to win the World Cup, and maybe they will like me. Yes! And awesomeness ensues. Yes, I said awesomeness. This is a good movie. It's a very good movie. Now, the only really problem I had with this movie is just one thing. Unfortunately, it's a pretty big thing, and I think it prevents this movie from being fantastic. Like I said, I do think this movie's really good, but not as good as it could have been, and it's just so slowly paced. And often so slowly paced, they just kind of lost some of my interest. It really isn't all that big of a story here. You know what it is. It's for it to be able to keep your interest for, over 2 hours is a big accomplishment. And I would say this movie did have me engaged for the most part. But some of it was just really, really slow. And it did seem to drag in some areas. But there are some really phenomenal moments in this movie. Unfortunately, they're scattered across, just this really good movie that really isn't as good as some of the tastes that we often get of a truly phenomenal movie. Another problem I had is that near the end, this final game, it kind of just, stopped being this epic, inspirational biopic directed by Clint Eastwood. It kind of turned into a typical sports movie. And I'm not against, sports scenes, but they seriously, the ending, they showed them play rugby for about 45 minutes. It seemed like they played rugby for an hour. And some of the rugby action is really cool. This film is excellently directed by Clint Eastwood. Especially the sports scenes. They're well shot. But, there was a little too much rugby near the end. Let's talk positive. The true awesomeness of this movie is the acting and the dialogue. There really is some excellent writing here. Some really great lines. Some truly inspirational stuff. Everyone's crying. I just can't cry this year. I'm so sick of being in movies where everyone's crying in the theater except for me, because it makes me feel like a douche. And I'm not a douche, I'm a nice kid. The acting is freaking excellent. Morgan Freeman and Matt Damon both definitely deliver Oscar-worthy performances. For Morgan Freeman, it's basically a lockdown. Matt Damon, I really haven't heard much buzz, and that's unfortunate because he's an excellent actor. Although I think he's kind of a douchebag in real life, he really busts his butt in every single movie he's in. He really does. In The Informant earlier in the year, he did great. In this, he does better. And they showed a trailer for his new movie that looks really good, Green Zone. The movie has a really awesome soundtrack also. So yeah, definitely see this movie. Check my list. It is my 20th favorite movie of the year. Keep in mind, I've seen 104 movies. This isn't all that good of a year. It really isn't. This is a very good movie, and there are some really good movies. But, we're pretty deep into Oscar season, and nothing's really blown my mind. Even all throughout the year, there are some movies I really loved, like 500 Days of Summer, and Moon, and In the Loop, and State of Play, and Education, and some other movies. But, not like last year. Come on, last year had Slumdog Millionaire, and The Dark Knight, and In Bruges, and Frost Nixon, and Wall-E, and Man on Wire, and Snow Angels, and Milk, and all those movies were, and this year just did, it's alright, but this is a very good movie, don't get me wrong. I really, really almost love this movie, so very good movie, definitely check it out. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10.